Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Holy FaceTime. Today is May the 10th, and today we celebrate the feast of John of Avila, St. John of Avila. And I actually thought that St. John of Avila and St. John of the Cross were the same person, so I didn't realize they were two different saints until today. And so when I was reading about this life of St. John of Avila, I was fascinated by him and by his just his sanctity in his writing. So I was doing investigating on him and what he had to do, what he had to say about the Holy Face and how his life emanated the life of Christ. So I want to share this with you. So first of all, let's delve into who was St. John of Avila. So St. John of Avila was born on January the 6th in Toledo, Spain, and he died at Montillo May 10th, 1569. So he was born in 1500, January 6th. So it's interesting to note that he was born on the Feast of the Epiphany. So there's one wow. At the age of 14, he was sent to the University of Salamanca to study law. 14 years old. Conceiving a distaste for jurisprudence, he returned after a year to his father's home, where he spent the next 3 years in practice of most austere piety. His wonderful sanctity impressed a Franciscan journeying through Almodovar. At the friar's advice, he took up the study of philosophy and theology at Alcala, where he was fortunate to have as his teacher the famous Dominican de Soto. His parents died while he was a student, and after his ordination, he celebrated his first Mass in the church where they were buried. He sold the family property and gave the proceeds to the poor. He saw in the severing of the natural ties a vocation to foreign missionary work and made preparation to go to Mexico in America, so South America, right? Or Northern America. Oh yeah, North America. Go to Mexico in in America. While awaiting at Seville in 1527, a favorable opportunity to start for his new field of labor, his extraordinary devotion in celebrating Mass attracted the attention of Hernando de Contreras, a priest of Seville, who reported his observations to the Archbishop and General Inquisitor Don Alfonso Manrique. The Archbishop saw in the young missionary a powerful instrument to stir up the faith of Andalusia, and after considerable persuasion, Blessed John was induced to abandon his journey to America. His first sermon was preached on the 22nd of July, 1529, and immediately his reputation was established. Crowds thronged to the churches at all his sermons. His success, however, brought with it hatred of a certain class. While living at Seville, he was brought before the Inquisitor and charged with exaggerating the dangers of wealth and closing the gates of heaven to the rich. His innocence of the charges was speedily proved, and by special invitation of the court, he was appointed to preach the sermon on the next great feast in the church of San Salvador in Seville. His appearance was a cause of public rejoicing. He began his career as apostolic preacher of Andalusia at the age of 30. After 9 years in that province, he returned to Seville, only to depart for the wider fields of Cordova, Granada, Bolsova, Montilla, and Zafra. For 18 years before his death, he was a victim of constant illness, the results of hardships of his apostolate of 40 years. He was declared venerable by Clement VIII on the 8th of February 1799, and he was beatified by Leo XIII on the 12th of November 1893. Oh, I just love Leo XIII. What a great saint. What a great pope. Among the disciples drawn to him by his preaching and saintly reputation may be named St. Teresa of Avila, St. John of God, St. Francis Borgia, Venerable Louis of Granada, and the spread of the Jesuits in Spain is attributed to his friendship for that body. Blessed John of Avila's works were collected at Madrid in 1618, in 1757, in 1792, in 1805. A French translation by Anne Dilly was published at Paris in 1673, and a German translation by Schirmer in 6 volumes was issued at Ratisbon between 1856 and 1881. And his best known works are Ade Fili, English translation in 1620, one of the best tracts on Christian perfection, and his Spiritual Letters, English translation 1631, London 1904, to his disciples. Okay, so now let's get to the good stuff. Okay, so what happened in the life of St. John of Avila? So from his letters, our Lord bids you to love him. This does not allow of self-indulgence. You must hate your soul for the love of Christ, deny and mortify yourself to honor him, and make yourself pleasing and acceptable to him. If you love and wish to enjoy, you must resolve to forget yourself. You must pass through sharp trials before you can see God face to face. If you desire him to dwell in your heart, empty it of yourself and of all creatures. And this is page 57 from Letters of St. John of Avila. Affliction, when borne for Christ, is both a gift and a grace, which he only bestows on his favorites. It is an act of great mercy to let off with a few cuffs a criminal who has been sentenced to a flogging. And if we can expiate the punishment due to us in the next world by our suffering here, let us endeavor to satisfy God's justice on earth, so that at our death we may behold his face without delay. Let us lead lives of penance during our exile here, that when we die, we may enter at once into our heavenly country. And again, from his letters. So now this is from the life of Blessed John of Avila. And listen to this is fantastic. On hearing one of his disciples remark that were Jerusalem now in the hands of Christians, what a happy thing it would be to spend one's life among those holy spots, once consecrated by the labors, sweat, and blood of our loving Redeemer. So far from being edified, he replied, "Have we not the same divine Lord sacramentally present upon our altars? What more can we desire? For my part, I never think of the Blessed Sacrament without feeling every other wish, however holy, is extinguished within me." The mere mention of this ineffable mystery was sufficient to make his face glow, and to melt him to tears. He would exclaim, as if beside himself, "O great stroke of love, O great stroke of love." That's incredible. And again, this is beautiful. The length of time spent in celebrating the Mass was measured only by his love, and sometimes it extended over 2 or 3 hours, just like Padre Pio, right? His tears were so abundant and continuous that the corporals and the cloths were usually soaked by them. The ardor of his heart shone in his face, but in addition to this clear indication, God was sometimes pleased to grant extraordinary signs. One morning, when celebrating Mass, a holy penitent named Donna Santia Carnillo, who was a spiritual advisor to her, she saw sparks of fire issue from his mouth at the Dominus Vobiscum. The licentiate Alfonso Fernandez, being present in Montillo at the holy sacrifice offered by Father Avila, beheld to his great surprise a globe of living fire descend upon him. And on another occasion, during the same function, his head was seen encircled with rays of great brilliance. Notwithstanding all of this, he never considered himself that he was sufficiently prepared to present himself at the altar, or that he had purity necessary for such a holy ministry. So dissatisfied was he of himself that he used from time to time to say to his disciples, "Wretched that I am, would that I could even once say Mass well. And when I have received our Lord within me, I would not open my mouth." Again, from the life of the Blessed Master John of Avila, now a proclaimed saint. So we can see by his actions and his humility of how he reflected our Lord in his personage, right? And these great miracles that happened to him in his life, and how people saw him glow with such ardent love for the Eucharist, and behold his face, right? His countenance just beaming. So anyway, I thought I'd share this with you. I hope you enjoyed it. I thought it was immensely beautiful. It got great joy to me reading this morning. I was so elated by this great saint, and I'm glad to hear about him. So I hope you are too. And till next time, blessed be his holy name, and blessed be his adorable face. Seek his face and receive his grace. Goodbye now.